Hello. I'm Catherine Curry-Williams.
And I'm Radin.
And this is Wine, Women, and Chocolate.
And today we are continuing our conversation with Iris Rideau, who is the founder of the Rideau Vineyard. And thank you so much, Iris, for letting us have this incredible interview with you right here at this beautiful vineyard and these incredible grounds. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for coming. Can we toast to
that? We've been practicing a little, so
yes.
Cheers.
We're just going to sip from now on, right?
Yes, we're going to be sipping.
But this is
going to be
so
a fabulous episode because we have rehearsed it over and over again.
Over a glass or two of wine.
Over a glass or two of wine.
Well, where we left off at the end of the last episode.
We have to drink before we continue.
We have to drink.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to get down to business.
Well, of course.
Okay.
You sound
First
like
the
me.
fun.
Oh, there you go.
And I'll have one too, just
complete
nice. The circle.
This is the nice glass.
Mm-hmm. And this is my Chateau du Plancher, which is my family name. And it's a Rhone varietal, so it's Syrah, Mourvedre, Grenache, and a little Petit Syrah, which I love.
And a
to
lot
balance.
of delicious.
Isn't it?
Can we see the gorgeous label? So we're
and
jumping
it's a 2014. Well, this is what we do because we love wine, right?
Yeah, so we jump back and forth.
So,
I'm afraid that's going to spell the
Fleur de Lis is my family logo in New Orleans.
Gorgeous.
So it belongs to the Saints as well. Mm. But they think it does. Mm-hmm. It's mine.
I bought a case of that 2004 vineyard. Was that the vineyard that...
2004?
Yep. And I just finished my last bottle.
Really?
And it was still amazingly delicious. We have friends that brought me here a long time ago, and that's how I came all these years later to still be a member. And
do you have any that you can sell me?
I drank it because I thought Seth said it might not be good. So I thought, well, I better drink it.
Better.
And I opened it, and it was good.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much.
Really good.
Well, it's like
Just
that
saying.
Joni Mitchell song, I Could Drink a Case of You. So you did.
I did, and I did sing that song to it. So, Iris, take us away.
Yes, okay. So when we left off in our last episode, you had just completed, you owned 2 businesses.
Yes.
You had over 50 employees in your second business.
Yes.
You were the first Black woman on the West Coast to run a securities business. Mm-hmm. And you were starting to tell us there was a very important fact about it that you wanted to share. Why don't we start today
good
with that?
To start there. Yeah. A couple of things I'll just kind of clear up for you. So the second company with the 50 employees were not just employees, they were all financial planners. So they had to pass their exams, go down this routine of questionnaires that I created myself and was approved by the city of Los Angeles, of course. But anyway, it was all about compliance. It was all about making sure that everybody knew what they were investing in. Very important, because it was their future. So, public employees, most people don't know, is that they don't have Social Security. So they have a pension plan by the city or the county, whatever, but they don't have Social Security. So the government established this 457 plan to compensate for their missing of Social Security. But it was a voluntary plan, tax-deductible, voluntary deferred compensation plan. So I represented Hartford again. We won the bid for that contract. And Hartford was the investment firm that handled all the securities investments, which I represented. And then Great Western was our savings and loan. That was our only competition. So I had the contract for almost 20 years and 50 employees, and our job was to enroll the city employees into this plan and advise them of their investments and so forth. So when I finished in in 2090,
1990.
Yeah, 2090. 19, I'm sorry.
I told
We're not
you
there
we've
yet.
been practicing.
We're not there yet. It's got to be the wine.
I'm going to keep practicing because she's the one that has to talk. I'm just listening.
1990. Yeah. I left.
2090. I'm sorry.
We're not getting there that fast. No. Mm-mm.
No, really
Not
can't
quite
go.
yet.
Anyway, so I had done most of the enrollment that we needed to do for the city, and when I decided it was time for me to retire because I was getting beat up by the politics and the financial world, and I won't say any more than that. And it was a contract that was so big at that point that every investment firm in the country was after the contract. So it was time for me to leave the city.
And if they got the contract, were you able to make money from the contract to leave? Like you weren't going to leave
Empty-handed.
No,
there you go.
I had commissions. I had a commission contract, and it lasted another 10 years after I retired. But I did leave the city and Hartford with $500 million in investments.
Oh my God.
Well, I'll drink to that.
No,
Hello,
that was not
ladies.
my money,
But that
I
was
got the
investments.
commissions off of it. Yes.
Well, that is.
So that's how I was able to retire. It was
Wow.
time.
So a little girl from New Orleans,
Yes, a little Creole girl.
Creole
Yeah.
girl
Uh-huh.
from New Orleans.
Yeah.
who literally was told you can't do it. You're besides not qualified. You're not even
You're not the right colored
right
skin.
the color
Right,
skin to do
right.
it. You
Ends up retiring with.
never believe what
Can you
people
believe
tell you.
that? Never.
That's all that I
you know
have to
what
say.
my motto is? Never, for women especially, never accept no from anybody.
That's no
Because
is
you
just a
can
place to
do-
find your yes.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. You just
That's
keep going
Yeah.
and keep going.
Wow. And well, you're a testament
And
to that.
you kept going and you got in your car.
I got in my car one day and I said, it's time for me to retire. I wanted to live north of Los Angeles. I knew that. And I just started driving by myself up to 101. And I was headed for Santa Barbara. I had friends in Santa Barbara. I had been here, so I knew that, that was where I wanted to be. But when I got to Santa Barbara, it still wasn't resonating in my soul. And so I said, this is not where it is, not yet. So I hired a broker finally after about 6 or 7 months of getting in my car and coming up here with my dog, the two of us. And he got me to the valley. When we drove off the 154 and into the valley, I looked at it and I said,
San Ynez
this is it.
Valley.
This is it. I will be here the rest of my life, and I intend to be. It was the most beautiful, and it is the most beautiful
It's
valley.
fascinating because the reason why I also love it so much up here is that you feel, I mean, this was Indian and still is,
Yes.
it always will be, their territory, and the love and the land, it just calls to you. If it's right,
Doesn't it?
you
though?
hear it. Yeah.
That's such a good statement because, the Indians did own all of this. They owned the land from here all the way up to Monterey,
Yeah.
the entire coast. And they wound up in the river beds. Unfortunately,
There's another,
that's another story.
inequity.
As a matter of fact, I have somebody else, a woman winemaker, that I want you to interview one of these days. We will do it.
we will.
Her name is Tara, and she was the winemaker for the Chumash tribe. And I allowed them to come here for 3 years and make their wine at my winery.
Yes,
So we
will
have to talk
interview her.
about her.
We're going to have
Yes?
some amazing wine,
Yeah.
some women winemakers.
Right,
Because
right.
Iris will be a revolving
I
host.
know. But let's get back to, so you came up here, you said, this is where I want to retire.
Yes.
And so you found this property.
Actually, I found another property
Okay.
I wanted acreage because I was living in a condo. Beautiful condo in Marina Del Rey, but neighbors, And so I said, I want land. I want peace and quiet. I don't want politicians. I don't want any of that. I just want my peace and quiet. So I'm looking for 5 acres. I know that. So there's a development that was happening at the same time. This is in '89. And I made an offer on a 5-acre property. And someone had offered them made an offer to them. Anyway, they turned my offer down. I was so disappointed. I thought, this is not going to happen for me. Oh my goodness. And I kept looking. And anyway, I found 5.5 acres up here on top of the hill. Had not been developed. So I bought the land and the plans from the developer.
Where we are right now.
And well, it's actually adjacent.
Above where we are right now, though.
So there's 5 acres behind you, up on top of the hill, which lays in front of my house.
Up that road. Yes. Where all those beautiful grapevines
So
are.
5 acres of estate Syrah was all I planted up there. And it was the most wonderful part of my life. So I built the home, and I built one for my mom, and I was very much involved in the development of it. And so was my niece, Karen, who's a kitchen and bathroom architect. So she was just graduating from college at the time, and she came to help me with it, and we had wonderful weekends creating. And so I built a 4,000 square foot home up there, and one for my mom down below. And I moved up here, and I went, what am I going to do now? Play golf with my mother that's 90 years old.
Oh, my goodness.
So I'm looking at this property, and it's adjacent to my home property. But it had been abandoned for 10 years, and nobody wanted it. And the house was 112 years old at the time.
This is this historic adobe first two stories.
Yes.
I think that they ever built in an adobe.
Well, it's the only 2-story adobe still standing in Southern California that we know of. But
it was abandoned and not in good shape.
It was in horrible shape.
Yeah.
And for 10 years, and everybody in the valley that wanted something to do looked at this property and said, no, this is way too much work. And so...
Not Iris.
No, and I fell in love with it, and I just fell in love with the concept. And so I hired a land use consultant, and she and I went before the county many, many, many times. And because I wanted to, it was a very famous inn at the turn of the century. So I was going to convert it back to an inn and put bungalows on the property, like that. And I wanted a Creole kitchen and wine tasting and a winery. And the county said no to everything other than winemaking because of the
Ordinance.
The ordinance says that if you grow your grapes, make the wine, you can have a tasting room. And I went...
But no bed and breakfast.
No bed and breakfast and no Creole restaurant. And they did me a favor because the winery was about as much as I could do. I didn't realize the extent of it. I would not have changed my mind if I knew. So it didn't matter.
Again, you threw that hat. You threw your hat over the wall.
Yeah,
the quote that I love and I use, and you had to go get it. So
right, I had to go get it. And I had to make it mine.
Yeah, and so that seems.
So
to be a lot of what
you
you've done.
put a winery together, but I want to say, because in 1 year you won a prestigious award, and that is not an easy thing to do.
I know.
So how do you start a vineyard and manage to win a prestigious award in 1 year?
Was it on the Duplantier?
No, it wasn't on the wine. Because you can't.
Was the Orange County Wine Competition in 1998.
Oh, 98.
Yes.
90.
It says, what I read was that you opened to the public in 97, and in 98
Correct.
you won the Orange County Wine Competition.
Oh, you know what that was for? This is a good story.
Okay. We like good stories.
She uncovers something.
You did.
Interesting.
This was actually for my label. It wasn't for the wine, so you can't make award-winning wines in a year.
Okay.
Impossible.
That's why I thought, how did she do this?
Good question.
I named one of my wines Tempranillo, which is the name of the grape, and I love Tempranillo, and I put my New Orleans label on
I
it.
love that.
And submitted it to Orange County, and it was all black people on the label.
I bought a case of it, and we gave it as
Everybody
gifts
loved it.
to NCIS, to Mark Harmon. We gave that as gifts because it was
And
just
I was
such a gorgeous
concerned.
label. But Tempranillo, the wine was good.
It was wonderful wine.
Yeah.
It was wonderful wine. And we were one of the first ones to make a Tempranillo in the Valley. And so
That was the first time I ever tasted Tempranillo. And now I can pronounce it.
Tempranillo, yes. So it comes from Spain, the south of Spain. And I was introduced to it by somebody. I can't even tell you who. I don't remember. But I tasted, just like you, I tasted and went, this is really beautiful. And it's different. Spicy and lots of fruit. Anyway, but the point is, I put my New Orleans label, which was the second line. Now, the second line is a celebration of someone's death. So, in New Orleans, when the Saints go marching in, you heard the song, of course. That was the number one song that you dance to in a procession following the hearse to the cemetery. And it's very solemn. And after the ceremony and after the person is buried and you're walking back from the cemetery, you start partying.
Well, it is New Orleans after all.
Yeah. So that was my heritage, and that's really what I think helped me to turn the corner here, because that was the first thing I did. I introduced my Creole heritage to the Valley.
And you got rewarded and accolades like, hey, you got from above, from down here.
Yes, I know.
People like the taste of it.
Well, you know what? Everybody loves food and wine. Not everybody, most people.
A lot.
And the ones
Anyone
that
we're talking to,
And
are
especially
listening
in
to us.
California.
Yeah, especially. I'm really a California girl.
Oh, New
when
York.
it comes to wine.
New York.
Especially when
Italy.
you start drinking it at age 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
The only places we ever travel are with people that like wine, women,
And chocolate.
There you
So,
go. There you go.
yeah.
Okay, you want to toast to that one?
Yes,
too?
there we go.
Glad you brought the
Cheers.
chocolates and I brought the wine.
That's right. There are chocolates there. And delicious, yummy stuff.
This is wonderful. And you know what? I want to say this too. The reason why I love what you're doing is because it's about giving back. And it's about finding women that need that financial support, that lift whatever they need.
That's in this chapter now, because you have this great vineyard
Right.
for 20 years or 20 plus years.
20 plus. Yeah.
And then decided I'm not going to retire. I'm just going to reinvent myself again at 85. And then your impact now is giving back by teaching women and sharing with what you did. Look at this. It's like unbelievable.
Well, just
and it's
letting
so
them
inspirational.
know. Letting them know that it's possible.
I'm never going to really believe that you've retired, because aside from you being on the advisory board and a contributing member and sharing all of this wisdom to She Angels Foundation, and that is an organization that I'm the co-founder of and the president of the board, and Robin Radin here is the president of the advisory board, and we're all because we want to give back as women to other women. And we give grants to female-founded and operated nonprofits who support women and girls' causes, because they only get 1.6% of all the U.S. funding.
Right.
And so that was crazy, and you joined us, and we're moving forward doing that and giving grants. But one of the many things you do in your retirement, because the other is you've written an amazing book that's soon to be hitting the bookstores.
Yeah.
So
Tell us about it.
yeah.
Well, I had nothing else to do. God forbid, right? So I decided, well, what actually motivated me to write the book was when I was running the winery, and I was always the winery. I was everywhere. Vineyard, winery, tasting room, upstairs, accounting.
And you're not anymore.
Not anymore.
You sold the winery.
I sold the winery completely to Martin Gauthier, who's a French-Canadian, who loved the name, because Rideau is a French name, of course, but there's also a Rideau River that flows through Canada.
Oh, okay.
And so the name recognition was something that resonated for him. He wanted to keep the name. And I had hired a woman winemaker. And I did not want anybody that bought the winery, to come in with a male winemaker, because I had already had 4 male winemakers. And they were all wonderful. They all produced great wines for me. But I wanted to give a woman a chance. And so I insisted on it. I hired a consultant. First name he gives me, a man. Honest to God. And I said, I want a woman wine. Anyway, I hired her in 2014, and she's still the winemaker, and she's the one making all the beautiful wines
And
today.
he agreed to keep your winemaker.
Yes, and the name.
And some good wine.
And she's still making better wines than ever. And so I'm not involved. I used to be involved in the winemaking process.
I can't say
the blending.
better than ever, but they're making wonderful. But your 2004 Duplantier, I just want to say.
And we are going to taste it in a minute, but I do want to hear about your book.
Yes. So I decided it was time for me to stop and answer all the questions that people asked me in the tasting room. They would say questions like, so when was the first time you started drinking wine? Or was your family in the wine business? My family wouldn't even think about being in the wine business. Anyway, so I had all these questions coming at me, and I didn't have the time to sit down with them all the time. Sometimes I did. And I finally started saying, when I retire, I'm going to write a book, and I'm going to answer all your questions. So that's how it started. And then it became a book about my life. And I start off in New Orleans through the days of segregation and Jim Crow and all of that, and coming forward to California. But again, now I buy this property because it's adjacent, it's abandoned. It's 22 acres, undeveloped, and it's a challenge, and I love challenges. So I'm up for it. And so I hired 3 consultants, because it was 112 years old. Nobody wanted it. It sat on the market for years. So 95 was the bottom of the real estate market at the time. And so I picked it up in 95. And it allowed me the space, the financial space, to develop it. Because I put a lot of money in, you can imagine.
Yeah.
In those days, it cost $35,000 to plant an acre. Wow. Just 1 acre.
Wow.
And I was planting 13 at the time.
Wow.
I did the numbers, and I went, wow.
Yeah.
Say that. Are you kidding me?
Well.
But no, I had to do it. And
Your
I
hat
did.
was over the wall. You had to go.
My hat was over the wall.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, right? And so anyway, I developed the entire vineyard, planted it all to Rhone varietals, because I love the Syrahs and Viogniers and Roussanne. And talking about awards, my 2004 Roussanne took Best White Wines and Wines of the World.
Yes, I saw that.
Yes.
Spectacular.
I mean, I was like blown away. And that was with 2,500 submissions of wines.
It doesn't surprise me anymore
so
after what you've said this whole evening.
My award is a silver platter, this big. Beautiful. It's in my bar at my home.
Well, we've got to taste them. I mean, they're sitting out here in front of us. We are drinking this delicious, delicious wine that I'm not going to butcher the name of.
No, because it's my name, so don't you dare.
I will not dare.
Yeah, so Duplantier is my family name, and I married a Rideau.
Well, let's get to tasting, because we don't have a lot of time left,
Okay,
and we got a
okay.
lot to taste.
So we're going to have a third episode that you won't be cued in on, and I'm so sorry about that.
Okay, so what are we tasting first? Because we gotta, we gotta.
So this is our Chateau Duplantier,
And this is what we're tasting.
which is what we're tasting in
drinking.
2014.
So this is delicious. Now we don't
What do
have a
you
lot
think?
of time left, and
Right.
normally this is when we would do our wine tasting, but because of COVID, why don't you just tell us about These wines right here.
Don't worry, we'll taste wines after. We would not waste these.
Yeah, and you certainly can't waste this one.
No,
because this is my
no.
favorite.
Okay.
Anyway, but
can see.
because of you're right. Because of COVID, this is the way we're serving the wines now. So as you can see, I've got. Well, I can't say we anymore, but Rideau has 3 acres surrounding the tasting room.
Mm-hmm.
So the staff will bring these out, and the tables are set like 13 feet apart. That's a little closer.
Yes, lots of room.
Lots of room, safe. So they bring these out with their mask on, and they put them on the table, and they give you the wine lineup that goes with it. And then you do your tasting. So we go from white to red. And this, of course, is our estate. This one, second one is our Estate Viognier, which is my very favorite.
Delicious.
The first one is the Roussanne. And this is a blend. I'm not familiar with this at all. This is something
That's a
new
Cuvée
to
Duvet.
winery.
Orange.
Roussanne Cuvée Duvet.
And it has some,
Okay,
it's
good.
like an
Duret,
orange wine.
Cuvée. Yes, the orange wine. Okay. But
Okay.
then we
And the
go right
reds.
to...
So then we go to the Estate Syrah, the Duplancher, and this one,
I think the Duplancher might be last. Did they
the
put something else
Duplancher
in?
is last, you're right. I'm cheating, I'm looking at the cheat sheet here.
That's all right.
Yummy.
And
all the way.
Entrevet Rouge,
Oh, yeah.
Entrevet.
Yeah, we can't ever pronounce them, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's
That's
a
before you drink it,
blend.
you can't pronounce
It's again a blend. And this is our Estate Syrah.
And you get your glass, and they come out. You can also order a charcuterie platter here. There's pizzas, there's lobster
Delicious.
rolls. Great.
Lobster rolls are delicious.
You can bring your kids. You can bring your own food. You can bring a picnic. It's all,
Yes,
all
it's
of that.
family.
And now,
And dogs.
and dogs. You can bring your dogs, your babies. It's a whole family affair. But before we go, there's some Cat's quickies for you. Okay.
Okay.
What comes to your mind very fast when I say wine?
Women.
When I say women,
Wine.
chocolate.
Oh my gosh. Chocolate is like the most delicious thing in the whole world for me. I love See's candy,
yeah,
Godiva. I mean, or it goes down to Snickers.
White,
It doesn't matter.
White, milk, or dark.
Milk for me.
Okay. You, what's
My
Robin's
question is,
question?
if you had to choose between wine and chocolate, which would you choose?
Wine.
I know.
Okay, one more.
That was
quickie for
really
you.
easy. Oh, I like her question.
I like that. I'm never going to ask my husband to choose between wine and women because I might be very disappointed.
If there was one woman in your life, and I think we kind of know the answer, but who you would want to give sort of special recognition to today for helping shape you into the woman that you are right now, who would that be?
Of course, that would be my grandmother, Mare,
Yeah.
who helped raise me. My mother, who was always there for me. And they were both single. My grandmother left her husband in the 40s.
Wow.
Well,
Can you believe that?
I
mean, so
It's
that's where I
amazing.
get my independence from. I think that's why she is such an important part of my life, because she was so daring and so bold and so confident.
well, let's toast to her.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll toast with my wine. then I
Cheers
have
to
a sip.
Mare.
To Mare.
To Mare.
Oh, I
And
love
to you,
her.
And Iris
Rideau.
Thank you. And to wine, women, and chocolate.
Yes.
There you go.
Thank you for being
Robin,
our
thank you for
very
joining
special
us.
guest.
Thank
And
you.
we hope
It's
to
been
see you, hear you, listen to you.
Next time.
next time.
Bye.
Bye.
1016 Entertainment.